Hello, Dobar večer. Thank you so much for coming to the Split Tech City Women in Tech meetup this evening. So tonight's panel is Different Experiences, Different Stories. We have three lovely ladies from tech who are here today to talk about their stories and experiences, both in tech, but also being women in tech. So we're going to explore a variety of different avenues today. So I'd like to introduce you to, well, I guess I should tell you who I am. Hi, I'm Sara Dyson. This is Alessia Amanzi. She is a designer at Profico. Then we have Maja Giljanović, who's in marketing at Agilno, and Stela Zorić, who is in QA at GetByBus. So round of applause for our lovely panelists. So before we dive in, I'd like to get to know our audience a little bit. So who here is in tech? Okay. Almost everybody, but not everybody. So I'm very glad that the people who are not in tech came to this as well. Because there are lots of themes that we're going to be talking about today that apply to all kinds of industries and markets and not just tech. So thank you. Who here is a designer? Oh. You're the crowning queen. You're the only representative from your people. Who here is in marketing? Oh, awesome. Who here is in QA? Look at that. Oh, fantastic. All right, we've got a good group. I can feel it in my bones. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started by getting to know these ladies first. So what I want to start is ask you, what do you do? And what does a typical day in your job look like? And if you could, share with us a little bit about a recent project you've been working on so we can really get a feel for what your job looks like.
Hi, I'm Alessia. I'm a product designer at Profico. I do, since we're a smaller company by tech standards, I do UX research and UI both, and I work on various projects from complex dashboards and very specific programs to landing pages, because that's something that I just like to do for myself, so my company allows me to do diverse stuff. Recently I've been working on a project for a Canadian startup that makes robots that are like the future of construction. So these robots will build stuff in a construction process to ultimately create a house. And I'm working on different products, from the user interface where the technicians operate these robots to the software that is used to manipulate these robots to create the house as a result. Yeah, I think I've covered all the questions.
What's a typical day look like?
A typical day looks like that I come to work with my dog and I look at the tasks that are required for me to do, and the comments or emails that have been left by the team on the Canadian side, because they usually send the emails when I'm done with work. And then I start working on those tasks, and in the evening I usually hear with the project manager. I talked with the developers during the day to see what we can do, what's to be done, what is achievable, or something like that. And yeah, that's a typical day.
Fantastic. So much for sharing.
So what did you ask first? I'm sorry. And thanks everybody for coming here. You said what my job is in general. So in general, I plan activities, marketing activities a year ahead that are in accordance with companies' goals, strategy, vision. Then we, divide it into quarters and decide what's our focus, and do various activities, from doing events to, marketing campaigns, various projects when it comes to sales and marketing working together. So that's, I think that I covered it most. What my day looks like. First I come to the office and drink coffee. And then I open Jira and I see all the tasks that are in progress. Those that are in progress give me the most annoyance, let's say, because it means that they can be there a lot and that someone is blocker. Then I try to find that blocker and see what's happening with him or her. I also contact and send message to Anna. She's my team member in marketing, and we talk a little bit. It's like a marketing stand-up for 10 minutes in beginning of the day, and then we hit the road, you know, go through all the tasks and see what can be done. When it comes to the last project that I did, it's Agilno portfolio. I worked with a designer on combining all of our latest projects, what we did, like a small case studies for sales, because they need new materials for their sales activities, meetings, and etc. So, did I say everything? Yeah? Perfect.
Hi, I'm Stella. I work at GetByBus, the wonderful website for buying bus tickets and so much more. So I'm a QA. That's a glorified name for a tester. Okay, it's a bit more than testing because you have to make sure everything is working the way it should. Not just working, but working the way it should. So that's a little bit of a higher level. That's why it's QA, not testing. So my typical day is, I see everybody has a similar typical day. We come, we drink coffee and tea in my case because I hate coffee. And then we open Jira. I think everybody knows what Jira is here and uses it. And then we see what should be done today. We have a daily at 10, so we cover all the stuff we did yesterday or before, what we're going to do today, what we're going to do tomorrow, and then I do the testing parts or whatever else needs to be done. Like a recent project we did, which are girls from GetByBus, which are here, yay, which you know, we have a revival of our mobile app, and like testing the app was really a long and complicated process because there are so many scenarios to test and so many crooks and nannies and other stuff to do. That took quite a long time, and even if you think everything is finished and tested, it's not. There's always some bug that's waiting somewhere to be found. And I work closely with the developers. I'm in the same place as they are, so I can nudge them when I find a bug, like, did you fix it? Did you fix it? Did you fix it? So I worked with the guy who made the web app, like we were really working tightly during the testing process because the testing was actually part of development, because when he saw the bugs, we actually found out so much more what needs to be fixed, what needs to be changed, and so on. Like when you start a project, you never know this stuff until you really dive into it. So that's about it for the beginning.
Do you, actually, I have a follow-up question.
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, yeah, truly I am. But they already know this, and I know this, and I try to be diplomatic as possible.
Okay, so I would like to know a little bit more. Oh, yes. Hi. Okay, so next I'd like to dig a little bit deeper to find out how you selected this role in this field and how you got there. So we'll start with Alessia. So if you could share with us why you picked this role, why you decided to be a designer, and there are many different kinds of designers. Why did you decide on UX? Did you fall into it? Did you go to a course? Did you go to university? How did you get here?
I was actually studying civil engineering, and I was very unhappy with it. I thought some aspects of it were interesting, like the 3D rendering and the geometry, but the actual construction part wasn't interesting. So I was back in Split from Zagreb, and my brother, who is a developer, was part of this association in Split called Dump, and it was during Corona time, and we were in lockdown, and he was doing some task or something, and he needed someone to do design. What I was doing in my free time outside of studying civil engineering was I was doing fun stuff in Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator, or yeah, I was doing it as a hobby. And he told me, why don't you try it? And then I tried it, and he told me, do you know that there is an internship program at Dump? Would you like to try and apply for it? So I said, sure. And then I spent that summer learning to code first, because I thought that I wanted to be better than everyone else, and I really wanted to get in. And I thought that if I learn how to code and I learn how to design, then I will have better chances at it. And yeah, then I got into Dump. I completed the internship, and while I was there, I was actually called to do an interview for Profico. And yeah, then I started working there, and I became part of Dump and working at the same time. And yeah, so it kinda was luck. I was looking for something that would like complete me, where I would be at the same time good and love it, and somehow I found it by luck, I guess.
Quite coincidental.
Yeah.
So how do you improve your skills, since you kind of fell into this in a non-traditional path, let's call it? So how do you seek to improve your knowledge? Do you do continuing education? Does your company provide any kind of continuing education?
I mean, I give myself tasks all the time outside of work because I really want to be good at it. But whenever I would ask for something that was interesting for me to learn to my company, they would always come forward and allow you to grow in a specific aspect that you want to learn. So it's like a combination of me volunteering in Dump. I mean, I'm not anymore there, but while I was there, I would put myself in situations where I had to learn new stuff to be better, than giving myself tasks on my own to improve where I wasn't good at something, and the company that was challenging me to be better in something that I wanted to do.
Fantastic. Thank you. So, how did you pick your field of marketing and this particular area of marketing? Because like design, marketing is a wide field.
Oh, yeah.
And how did you obtain the knowledge?
Oh, God. So, how I got into marketing, that's like a story with ups and downs. And yeah, you want? So, first of all, I started in telecommunication industry in the midst of like the biggest financial crisis in the world. And I worked there for a couple of years here in Split. And after a couple of years, I finally got to the being team leader. And I thought, oh my God, yeah, finally, like a career breakthrough, whatever. And change of everything, because one bigger company bought this company, and 99% of us were laid off. And there was I, like without a job. And interesting fact about telecommunication industry in Croatia, that everything is centralized. I mean, the whole industry, right? It's in Zagreb. And I had a decision to make, either to move to Zagreb or to stay here. And I knew that moving to Zagreb was not an option at all. So I decided to stay here, and I thought what I'm gonna do next, and I had no idea. And I remember this day, my friend called me and said, hey, do you want to work? You know, you are good with writing, with words. You are into tech and whatever. Do you want to work and be organize with us a conference, blockchain conference? And I said, blockchain what? Like, I have no idea what it is. And I accepted it, right? So I did there a little bit of marketing, event organizing, writing, doing PR, but that was job for 3 months, and it was for the Block Split conference, which was last month, 4th or 5th edition. But then again, I'm again without a job. So I had only 3 months of experience in marketing, and I started looking for jobs. And no one wanted me, right? I have no experience. I know very little about marketing. And I applied to a job for a travel agency here in Split, but not for marketing, for something salesy, which I hate. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna, I'm gonna apply to that. I'm gonna take that job and look for marketing jobs. And like 2 months into that job, I got a call from HR saying, oh, you have some experience in marketing. A girl that did social media, she's leaving to maternity leave. Do you want to take over her job? And I said, yeah, of course. And that's how I stayed there for a couple of years, and then later moved to tech, and here I am, switching careers. That's it. So, I mean, not to mention that I work in travel agency, and then COVID hit, and then there was again this feeling of if we are going to get laid off, but we didn't, luckily, and then I decided I'm changing the industry. No way I'm going to work anymore in this industry. I'm moving to tech, better job, better pay, and better culture. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's really fascinating that both of you are career changers, especially this early in your careers. You know, there's this kind of myth that you have to pick something and you got to be that your whole life, and absolutely not. You evolve as a person. You change over time. Why would your career not change as well? So at any stage in the game, you can decide to do something else.
No, I mean, I completely agree. And I didn't choose marketing. I think that marketing somehow chose me, found me, because someone approached me with said like, hey, you would be good at that. And I'm like, are you sure? I hated it at faculty. I said that I'm never going to work in marketing because it's boring and I have no talent for that. So, yeah, I was really wrong.
That's okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Good. Yeah, I agree.
So, does your company provide continuing education? How do you personally kind of work on your skills? Learn new things?
I think that I didn't rely too much on companies' education. I had and I have it, but it's mostly, what I do, not what I do, I mean how I get the new knowledge. I'm aware of the fact that if I attend some education, they will give me some part of that. But if I don't do, and later on, go through some, take a look at what competitors do and see maybe their mistakes, and talk with other people who also do marketing. And if I don't do this multi-approach, I will never be proficient in what I do.
Makes sense to me. Stella, your turn.
So I'm an electrical engineer, so it was logical that I went into this field. But when I came to my last working place, I wanted to be a programmer, like a developer, and that was what I was supposed to become. But I was the youngest and I was the only female, so they put me in testing or QA. And I just stayed there because nobody took that spot, and I was that for 7 or 8 years. And actually I saw that I enjoyed it, and it was really interesting, and I could see the potential, although it was a totally different industry than the one I'm in now. It was document management. So after switching jobs, it was logical to just continue with the QA, and which I'm really happy about because it's such an incredible field and full of possibilities and everything else. And for the education and everything, I think that they said it, like, you have to dig for yourself, look for stuff, but everything's on the internet, so it's pretty easy. But experience is the key. That's all I'm gonna say. Dig and experience, do stuff. Multidisciplinary approach, as she said. Okay, in some small doses, ChatGPT too.
So, you mentioned that you were placed in QA because you were a female. Did I hear that correctly?
Of course, this is my theory. They would probably never say yes. They would say because I was the youngest. Because I was the lowest on the ladder, because I was the youngest. Everybody was at least 15 years older than me in my old company. Yeah, so that was logical, but I also think because I was a female also helped. Yeah.
So, does your company provide continuing education?
My old company, they did, not so much, but here in GetByBus you can get anything you want, and the guys are so great, the other developers, everybody, they're gonna share anything you need. So just ask, and they're gonna tell you anything you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is a great segue to my next question. So, this is a Women in Tech meetup, so we have to talk about what it's like to be a woman in tech. Okay? So where we'd like to go now is, has being a woman been an obstacle or made anything harder professionally? Or, on the other side, has it ever been an advantage or an asset?
I don't think it's been an obstacle. Not sure about the advantage either, but I do think that there are some challenges in probably having to prove yourself in a different way that maybe a guy will have. Just because there are some stereotypes existing that people, without even thinking, assume maybe some things, but I don't think that if someone is good at what they do, they will still be able to achieve what they want if they know how to set boundaries. I mean, for example, what she mentioned, if it was that she was placed there because she was a girl, she still stayed there for a long time, and now she's at a place where she's valued for who she is. So I think that I haven't personally came across any, but I know that other people have. I've heard stories. And advantages, I'm not sure about that. I don't think I've had advantages either. But then again, I think I've been kind of lucky by living in a bubble and surrounding myself with good people. So I think, yeah.
Good.
I had an interview for one job, and one of the questions was if I'm planning to give birth soon. So first I was shocked, then I think I mumbled something like, you can get sued for this, or something like that. But still, I mean, I was in shock. I also didn't want to even get a job in that company, right? I don't want that. But if you ask if we feel those kind of, disadvantages, advantages, I think we do, even though we are not necessarily at the moment aware of it. Maybe the time will pass and then you will think and you will change the company or the community and you will think to yourself, oh my God, that was the situation, Because I think according to Eurostat or something like that, 25% of people in tech business are women. So you are a minority in this industry. And if you are a minority, there's definitely something that is happening to you or to people around you, and you are judged by something that distinguishes you from the majority. Do I sense it today in my workplace? No, I don't think so. But I think that I'm kind of surrounded with really great women in the company, and we share the struggles, we share everyday's problems, and somehow you are support to each other and you get through everything. And I still kind of remember some advices from my previous colleagues that would say like, okay, come here, are you okay? Nobody died, so come on, you didn't F anything so much, so just move on. So I think when it comes to that, sorry, maybe I moved away a little bit from the subject, but somehow if us women will stick together, then all of these things that you asked and mentioned will get through it. And plus, there needs to be balance, but that's not gonna happen soon in this industry, unfortunately. Not so soon. Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's an interesting question, and there's some stuff I'll probably never have an answer to because I was the only woman in my last company, and I think I was the only female interviewee for the position. So I think it's impossible to say, it didn't matter at all that she's a woman. I think that's really impossible to say. Maybe there was a positive bias in this aspect because I was the only woman. Of course, they would never come and say to you, "Oh, we picked you because you're a woman." But you know, the undercurrents are there, and the subtext and everything else. Although they actually treated me okay, totally okay. So in that regard, I have nothing to say. But it was a peculiar situation because literally for 7 years I was the only woman in the company. So I didn't see too much negative aspects, except what we mentioned before, which I'll probably never know, was because I'm a woman, the reason they tucked me in this particular drawer. Again, I'll never know. But from my experience, because I'm a little bit older, I'm 30 plus, yeah, you too. Like these new companies, these new fresh companies, they're really not so much gender biased. But when you come to an interview for someone who's older, like 50 plus, there were moments that you can sense that he is like looking at you. She's a woman. Look, there was an interview I went, frankly, it was weird. There were two older guys and they behaved really weird, and I don't think they would behave that way towards a man. That's just my opinion. Maybe it's not true. Maybe I'm not fair towards them, but I'm happy that the newer company seems to like think less and less about these things and just take people as they are, no matter if they're male, female, anything else.
That's the goals of
Yeah.
meritocracy.
Yes.
All right, thank you for sharing. Okay, let's move it along. All right, do you ever have moments where you're feeling like an imposter? Like, I don't know that I'm actually supposed to be here. Someone's going to find out that I'm a fraud. How do you deal with that? And also, do you have a go-to person that you talk to in your life to help kind of talk you out of those situations?
All the time, right now. But yeah, especially when I started working, since they just called me without any work experience. I mean, the only thing I've done was volunteer work, and then suddenly I was there with a job, with responsibilities, working with amazing people who already done so many amazing stuff. I felt so out of place, and I would at the time come to my mentor and I would say, why am I here? Are you sure you want me here? Are you 100% sure? To my boss, are you sure? I mean, luckily we were placed, our office has 2 spaces, and the part where I was placed was I was sitting next to my bosses, so I could like turn to them and speak to them and tell them I'm worried about what I'm doing. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be here, and they would just say, look, you have to trust the process. You're a beginner. We see your value. We see how hard you're working. We see you want this. We believe in you. And if we believe in you, then you should believe in yourself. And then with time, it becomes easier. I mean, still on a day-to-day basis, when you have a challenge, you again question yourself. But it's really important to have people that remind you that they see your worth and that what you're doing is valued. But yeah, that feeling is always there.
You feel like it's getting a little bit less and less over time?
I do. But no matter how, I mean, you get told what a great job you did, and then yeah, thanks, and then you're happy, and then suddenly a little voice behind your head says, are you sure that was really good? Maybe they're lying to you. But yeah, it gets easier.
Yeah, over time.
Yeah, I think the beginning of that thought starts with us being afraid to make a mistake and a constant need to be perfect, which is amazing how much pressure we put on ourselves to be perfect, and that's impossible. I mean, you make a mistake, so what? I remember all of my mistakes because, believe it or not, it really helped me to learn a lot. So, I mean, I still, and plus, if we are going back to the subject of women in tech, you feel like an imposter if you are a marketing person in an IT company in the beginning. Later on, you've got great colleagues, they ease you into the job. But at first, you are like, no, they are like, what do you do? I mean, you write and then you post something and then you send some email. What is your actually job? And I'm like, what is your, like, writing 2 code, lines of code? And then we would joke about it, but they also had to, you know, kind of get a sense what I do. But yeah, I felt like an imposter in my first IT job that I mean, in marketing job, being a marketing person in an IT company. And yeah, and I still doubt myself, like, less and less. And I try to, you know, say myself, you're doing great, you are having great colleagues, you have great relationships with them, you work hard, you want to do your best. So I think everything is checked.
Fantastic. It's good that you're able to tell yourself that, do that for you internally.
Yeah, I mean, some time passes between those 2 thoughts. But yeah, someone else told me that. So I'm trying to now tell everybody also that. I heard that from a woman with 20 plus years of experience being a CMO in tech companies. So she kind of like, she was my mentor, and she kind of like, you know, gave me those advices that stayed with me and probably will stay with me for the rest of my career.
Oh, that's great. It's wonderful when you get that advice that really resonates and it keeps with you forever.
Yeah, true, true.
I have nothing to add. No, really, you said it perfectly. Like, with time and with focus, and if you're working in a really great company with great colleagues, it diminishes. Of course, moments are always there, but with time it diminishes, definitely.
Okay. So, on the back of that conversation, I'd love to know, if you could have a conversation with your 12-year-old self, what would you say?
It's hard to start first.
Yes. You're in the hot seat.
Huh. Not to worry about failing, probably. Especially when I was a child, my dad is a military man, and he wanted always everything to be perfect, so I had to be perfect at everything. I had to excel at everything, and I remember getting a first bad vote at school, and I was so out of myself. I didn't know what to do with myself. I thought I failed in like the 5th grade because we had to plant some plant, and then I failed at planting that plant, and I thought I was a failure for the rest of my life. And it took me a long time. It took me failing at university to realize that it's fine to fail, and then that you can actually achieve so much after that I was really young. I mean, I'm still young, and it's fine. Probably that, and to always stick to your boundaries and your values, that you have to voice out what you believe in, which I was a very people pleaser type of person, and when I was bothered by something, I would never say it to anyone. So yeah, mostly those 2 things that come to mind right now.
You and I are very similar.
I would say to myself that it's okay to have different way in life than the others. So not to worry myself regarding, you know, what society is pushing on you. And the other thing, it's learn how to say no to people who are, you know, sometimes they have, you know, certain expectations of you. They want to ask of your opinion or something that you do, or in work also. So learn how to say no without saying a no. And I think that would be a great advice to myself early in career.
Yeah, I think everybody would say more or less the same. Like, believe in your choices, believe in yourself. Everybody's story is different. Your story can be totally different from all the others, and it's okay. You don't have to worry about it. And just stick with your ideals, and you'll make it through. Just be a good person.
Ooh, keep the microphone.
Yeah.
There's a great segue
Yeah.
here. So we're going to go back down the line this way. Go backwards. depending on which one it was, or maybe someplace in the middle, how did that affect your path to your career?
Actually, my parents were pretty freestyle, which is both a good and a bad thing, and they left me to my own devices. So really, I wasn't pushed into anything. Everything I chose for myself. So you see the whole potential of probabilities and all the other stuff you can do. So I wouldn't say that the sky's the limit, because you have to have some experience and knowledge to actually understand what the sky is the limit means. And when you're too young, you just don't see it. But by time, you can see that your freedom of choice is probably the most important thing, and nobody can make you do anything. So that is the first and the most basic thing, that you willfully do something by your own free will and your own free energy and everything else. So yeah, I would say that at some point I understood that, like, there's so many stuff you can do, there's so many things you can do, and it mostly depends on your will to do things. And then if you give your everything, what you get back, it's not up to you, but you have to give your everything.
I had this talk with my mom maybe a couple of days ago, and I told her, I love you, but the one who made me the most resilient as I can be is my stepdad, because he taught me how to find a solution to a problem, whichever the problem could be, because she's like more, like not to push boundaries too much, and he was like, push it, see where it leads you and see where you will end up. So kind of she keeps me grounded, and the other hand, I got that resilient part. So I think, and you can see it throughout my career. I didn't, I had some ups and downs, switched careers, were laid off, fired. So I kind of I went through it without a problem, everything solved, because I said, okay, I can do it. I mean, I will find the other job. I know what I want, and I can do it. So it's probably because of the family. They keep you. They teach you how to do what you do in a certain situation, or friends, or whomever you hang out.
I think that I had very different parents with very different values, so there was always a weird conflicting thing happening there, while they both encouraged me that I could be whatever I want to be, just because I can achieve anything. My mother on one side thought that I should be whatever I want and I can be a free spirit if I want to, there aren't any rules, while on the other hand, my dad was, you can be anything you want, but you should be a doctor or something that is very safe, because you can achieve it. This is why, it's pretty simple. You have to study and be a doctor. Be
any kind of doctor you want.
Exactly. Yeah, so and they always, since he was always away on some mission, and then when he was home, he would bring books so I could study and be good at studying to become a doctor. When he was away, my mom was, you can draw now, you can do whatever you want. So it was weird. But one thing that they always had in common, that they really thought that I could achieve whatever I put my mind to. But I think that their different styles and approaches created some conflicts in me.
Conflicts give us growth. Yeah. Or so my therapist tells me. So, assuming there are no limitations at all, and you're not competing against someone's cousin, what is your dream job, and what are you doing to try and achieve it?
Well, I mean, specifically in design, there are some levels of design that we all look at, and you just look at them and you're like, why can't I make this? And you look at the greatest designers that you see there that are at the same time great with everything that's happening currently in technology while still mastering the basics of graphic design. And you know, you just see that everything they do is like a level above. And I keep looking at that and I want to be that. And I know that sounds ambitious, but when you're in this industry, I think you should aspire to be great, because I don't know. Yeah, and what I'm doing is I follow all of them. I try to analyze their works. I look why they do something they do. I practically analyze their works to understand how are they achieving what they're achieving. I thought that maybe if I read books and looked at the videos, I could accomplish that, but I realized that it's just in the experience and trying to do what they do to become that great, which you can achieve just with time and work.
Absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. Yeah. Ambition is important. That's what gets us to the next stage.
Yeah.
I want to be a CMO of a major tech company. That's like a dream that I came to this realization maybe 6 months ago. And yeah, it's my dream. I don't know what will happen. I also have the other that I'm going to start my own company. I told that to a couple of people that are here and I still didn't do it. But yeah, who knows? So there are two.
I don't believe in dream jobs because you can actually find something in almost any job you work and actually just be the best you can in the job you're working now. I mean, I'm too old for that shit, let's say that. Like dream stuff and so on, haha.
So, the next question. If somebody in this room wanted to go into design or marketing or QA, what would your advice be for them to get started on that path?
I'm going to tell you the golden sentence. Always test wider. That's all I'm going to say. Think wider. That's it. No, that's the single most important thing that I learned. Look wider. Just look wider.
If you have no experience in marketing and you want to start, later after the panel, come to me and we'll talk.
Actually, my boyfriend and me, in our free time, we try to help people that want to get into design. And there isn't really a school for product design in Croatia, so it's kind of hard to get into it if you don't have guidance. And what we realized is that you need to learn first the processes that you go through, and the only thing that will separate you from the rest is how hard you work and how much you practice. It's just the experience. And you do have, you don't, but it's much easier to have someone who will tell you this works and this doesn't, which in Split was Dump is a really good place to start because there you have people that volunteer. So you have someone to tell you what is good, what is not, but yeah, working and try to find a mentor or someone to help you. That's the only thing.
Can I also, I would like to add a couple of things because I remember other. Yeah, a mentor is a great way that helped me also move from that junior medium position to higher one. But also I would say I hear a lot of, especially women that are, you take a look at the job ad and you see all the requirements that you need to kind of check that so you can apply. And basically, a lot of women will go through it and say, okay, I have 80% of that. I don't have 20. I'm not going to send my job application. I think men will do differently completely. And so that's another topic to be discussed. Why is that? But, and we practically know it. But yeah, so send the application. I mean, okay, you don't have 70%, you don't have all the requirements, you don't have all the knowledge. It says 2 years of experience, but you have 1 or whatever, send the application, you know. That's it.
Yeah, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Yeah. They don't reply, oops. But you never know. I mean, dedication and inspiration and personality really go a long way in job interviews. So yeah, you should always go for it. Okay. So, our curiosity about what we want to do in our lives usually starts when we're small, you know? I don't know, I wanted to be a teacher, and my brother wanted to be a fireman. Neither of those two things happened. But I'm curious what you think the Croatian school system should change or improve or add to inspire more people to get into tech.
I graduated high school in 2013, I think, the gymnasium here. And I remember one person only went into tech. He became a developer. And I remember when he was going to university at FESB and he was explaining to us what he was going to study, nobody knew what it was. We had no idea what he was talking about. People were going to do biology or to become doctors or some other form of engineering, but nobody at our high school talked about going to tech. I mean, design was nowhere to be seen. I mean, UX, UI design, web design was a completely different thing back then. And that this is like 10 years ago. That's not that far back. And right now my little brother is in high school and they're learning to type on the typewriter. It's 2023 and that's what they're doing. So I think that they are still really, really outdated, and the universities that are actually oriented towards something like this are still a lot behind. I have friends on universities that are not tech related and they are behind what is actually happening in the world. So I'm not sure how they could improve it. I mean, I think there's a lot of work to be done. It's probably a whole system that needs to be modified, going back to the... I'm not saying it's not the professor's fault, but there is something going on because they are outdated. They're not going with the current times. So specifically tech, probably talk about it more, give us more insight into it, and not just to the MIOTS, the mathematical high school, because nobody except them 10 years ago didn't know what was happening in the industry. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? Did you ask about how we can get more people involved in tech or women more involved in tech?
What should the Croatian education system change or add to better inspire people about tech, get into tech?
I don't think there's a lot of fault on Croatian school system. I think it's also because you are raised by family, no matter what it looks like, right? So I think it's about them, and it's about your previous question. Is your family driving you to achieve your dreams, or is it more like, I don't know, traditional one and telling you be average or something like that? So I think everything is based from that. And if your family tells you that you can do whatever you want, and then it's great to aspire those kind of dreams, I don't think that the school system will stop you. You can always get your education also somewhere else. But yeah, that was my point. I think not so much school system, but definitely also family and those who raise you.
Is there anything that you would have wished you'd had access to when you were in primary school or gymnasium?
I don't think so, actually. I'm not sure. I think that I went to the high school that I wanted, to faculty that I really wanted. I ended up having a job in tech industry that I really wanted. So I wanted to switch those industries. And I did that. So you can do it. I mean, I switched careers. So from telecommunication industry, okay, it's also kind of tech, but I didn't do marketing there. So today you have so many possibilities to learn new things from where you can get your knowledge. So it's about you being proactive and resilient to the things that are happening to you and at the moment are not so good. Let's say it like that.
Actually, I do think from the time I was in elementary school where we had a really old computer and played 4 games from the 90s, I think they really developed in some better places today. But the point is there's always so much more they can do about computer science. But I think we didn't even have computer science in elementary school. I didn't. Yeah, so I think today everybody has obligatory computer science, which is already a step in the right direction. But I think the tech sector is just too big. I don't think you actually need somebody in school to push you towards it, because everybody has a cell phone, everybody has a computer, everybody has a tablet, and you just see it. And if you want to work with it, you can work with it like since you're 5 years old, because there's like everything is on the net. Of course, it would be good that the school system had support if you want to do this, but I think the problems in the school system are so big and so systematic that this is a whole other topic we don't want to go into. But it's better than it was, but it can be so much better. Alessia says it could be so much better, but it's going towards that because everything is going tech in the 21st century. So that's totally logical.
What is the best advice that you've ever gotten?
I know, but the one that I told you before. Think wider, think deeper, think from another level. Like, don't think linearly. Think. You see, it's even impossible to actually describe this because it's a whole, like, kill your old process, constantly do new processes, just reinvent yourself all the time.
I already said it, but I'll explain it a little bit more in details. So learn how to say no. So when you are a marketing person in a company which is not doing marketing primarily, right? It's not their core business. You've got a lot of people in general who think they knew how to do marketing. And they all come to you with ideas, oh, you can do this or you can do that. Did you see the competitor, the blah, 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 that one? They did that. And then you get consumed a little bit with all these kind of ideas that they are throwing at you and you think they are better. And a lot of them come to your plate. And your amount of work that you have is building up. And you have 8 hours a day to work. Not more, 8 hours. And you cannot do a lot of those stuff. So when someone approaches you and is CEO, COO, whoever is on a higher position, that person told me, you're gonna do this. You're gonna say, I have 10 things to do this day. Tell me which ones to kick out so I can do your idea. And I do that. I'm not always successful, of course, because someone else's idea is probably at some certain point better than mine, and I'm okay with that. I'm like, yeah, like, give me the idea. I want to know, right? But yeah, you need to value your work and not make your life to be equally as important as the work. It's 8 hours a day. Then you go on with your life and enjoy your life at its best. Yeah.
That's the dream.
Actually, it's by law requirement.
Because we all follow the laws here.
But we need to try follow the law. I mean,
Yes, of course.
I have one that stuck with me. It's not this much but it was always ask that question you're afraid to ask because you're scared of sounding dumb, because it's better to be dumb for 1 minute than for the rest of your life.
Yeah. That's great advice. I mean, I like to think there are no dumb questions. If you have that question, most likely someone else is going to have that question too.
Yeah, but I know that me first, and I know a lot of people are always scared to ask something because, like, what if you ask and they think that you should have known that already, or what it was obvious, or whatever, and it seems so simple, but you have that block, especially when you're just beginning your career and you want to impress everyone. So I think that's why that really stuck to me, because I was the one who was always afraid to ask questions, and then I would waste my time for something that you shouldn't be scared of doing.
Same. Absolutely the same. So I've just got a few quick questions to ask as we wrap up today. Okay. What is your superpower?
Flying. I don't know. This caught me off guard. I can be concentrated for a very long period of time.
Okay.
I think.
That counts.
I don't know. I have a funny one and a serious one. Wait, let me choose. Serious one, okay. And people tell me this, so I decided that it's gonna be my superpower, that I can juggle with various different tasks in a day with ease, and that I can organize events or projects that are, that everything is delegated. I know where everything is. I have in my mind what needs to be done, or I see it on Jira, whatever. And that I'm good at it. I mean, a couple of people said that, so I can sense in me also that I can really easily take a look at the situation that is complicated and see what needs to be done at a certain point and what's urgent and not. And that's why I think I'm inclined to becoming a CMO. Also because I found that skill myself. I mean, I didn't find it easily. I thought that everyone is having. That's also a subject to talk. Because sometimes you think, oh, other people can do it also, but then you figure out, no, actually that's strength that I have. I need to exploit it. I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with it and where it leads me. So this one is going to lead me probably to CMO.
Fantastic. Oh, can you tell us the silly one?
It's really silly. For 17 years, I have been watching Hajduk Split not winning Champions League. And I'm still a huge supporter and going to every match.
I'm really quick. I can do things really quickly.
Excellent.
QA.
So, next one, and I know that the answer to this for you, Maja, is yes. So I'm going to ask you a different question.
Oh my God.
Okay?
No pressure.
Do you have any desire to eventually become an entrepreneur?
Maybe. I'm keeping that as an open option, but like not right now, but maybe even probably.
Awesome.
Hit me.
You already said yes, and you want to be a CMO. So have you envisioned what that company looks like?
Which one? Where I'm entrepreneur or where I'm CMO?
Where you're the entrepreneur? They're not the same.
No. Yeah, I envisioned it. I mean, I even started like a couple of years ago a process of me, discovering what I need to do to start my own company. And then I kind of moved it aside. And yeah, I mean, I see myself what I can do, but then I also remember, oh my God, I have so many obstacles ahead of me, and then you get frightened, which is of course normal. And because as a marketing person, and you have all, you know, every marketing person here will probably agree that you have so many things that you can do as a marketing person. You can do, you know, billboard marketing, you can do PR, you can do, PPC, social media, content. So, I don't know, web content, whatever. So then you need to figure out what you're going to do out of those fields. And then I remember, oh, if I'm going to open a marketing agency, I need to know that everything. But I really don't. I mean, I have an overview and in-depth knowledge of some of the key areas. And probably I'm now saying myself that I can do it soon. But yeah, that's kind of like in general what I think.
Sweet. Stella.
Never say never, but no.
That's your strength, being quick.
Okay. Second to last question. What is a new skill that you want to learn?
Motion design.
Ooh. All right. Maja?
Video production.
Automated testing.
Okay. All right. I have a very hard-hitting last question for you. Where is your favorite ice cream place in Split?
Ooh, I tried recently that one. I'm not sure what it called, near Bokeria. Yeah, I loved it.
Lidl Bourbon Vanilla ice cream. Still my favorite.
Classic.
Emiliana with the guy who looks like Dexter.
Which one?
Okay. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, everybody, for being a great audience. Really appreciate you coming out in this weird dystopian June weather to sit here and hear everything that these women had to say. So if you want to meet them, you can now do that and chat with them. Thank you so much.